Okay, everybody, some big Star Wars news dropped this week. Alongside the solo premiere, the upcoming Boba Fett movie will be written and directed by James Mangold, best known for directing Logan last year and The Wolverine in 2013. Now, Fantastic Four reboot director Josh Trank was originally attached to direct the movie, but he left the project in 2014, leaving fans to wonder if...
And his career, kind of.
since?
No, he walked away from that, too. Fantastic Four just ruined him.
And he is working on some Al Capone movie that's coming out. But anyway, we were all wondering if Boba Fett was even going to happen as a movie. The Bounty Hunter has always been a fan favorite director from the original trilogy, even though he famously only had like 4 or 5 lines of dialogue and then died a very unceremonious death falling in the Sarlacc pit on Tatooine. But people love this guy. And we saw a young version of Boba Fett, of course, in the prequels, the clone son figure to Jango Fett on Kamino in Attack of the Clones. We last saw him on Geonosis. Yeah, it's all there. Jar Jar's the key to all of it. But he was on Geonosis holding Jango's severed head and the Mandalorian style helmet that he'd probably inherit. He was really pissed off at Mace Windu. Head falls out just
the helmet.
like a hard-boiled egg out of a shell. Now, but James Mangold is taking over this, guys. It's very exciting. We're still waiting for confirmation on the story of what exactly this Boba Fett movie will be. It'll probably show his time as a bounty hunter piloting Slave One between the events of Clones and the first appearance of Empire Strikes Back. But choosing James Mangold as a director of this project suggests that Lucasfilm is looking for a tone that's grounded and gritty, violent, maybe a little westerny. What elements do you guys think from Mangold's work in Logan do you think could really work the best going into a Boba Fett movie?
Honestly, he probably would have done an okay job, maybe equal to or better with a Han Solo movie too, if you wanted, because there was a western feel to this to Solo. If lean into the western, because I feel like Star Wars fans are still going to be kind of disappointed with this movie, like no matter what. Like I feel like that's what's going to happen.
You looked at me when you said that.
I just feel I can see this conversation happening in the future where it's just like it's not gonna be perfect, but I think he can have some fun with if he were to lean more into his Western roots. He did 3:10 to Yuma and Wolverine and Logan, and everyone loves him for those movies. So aim for that, and I think we'll be happy. I just don't see fans being happy with this movie. I can just see it.
Because he's had 7 minutes of airtime. Basically, his entire story was.
So he's totally open.
That's a good point.
Yeah, he's a blank slate.
You can do anything. That's kind of like what Sam has said previously was people are like, do we need it? And it's like, you don't know. You don't know until somebody writes a story that might be the best story ever told. Yeah. It's Casablanca with Boba Fett or something. But I think it could be great. And something from Logan that I think you could take. I don't know if you guys felt this vibe. At least the character of Logan did. He was painted as if he's an anti-hero, as if he's been the villain previously, because that's where he's at mentally by the time that movie's taking place. And so he feels like, look, I'm a bad guy. Even though we all like cheer for Wolverine, he feels like he's a bad guy. And the fact that then the rest of the movie, it's like, well, even if he feels like a bad guy, how do you get him to come out and do something for at least one good reason? How do you get him to save his soul? This guy's a bounty hunter, and I think that he could go through a similar thing of like, look, I'm a bounty hunter for a very specific reason, and that's a path I've chosen. But is there something that, and I'm not necessarily saying you have to do that thing where it's like, but there's kids to save, on the edge of the cliff or whatever. Like, it doesn't have to be that, but there is a way to make it so that Boba Fett can be someone that we want to root for and emotionally connect with, even though we only know him as a villain.
Yeah, it'd be fun to see, so James Mangold, I'm very excited to see like the way he can humanize a character who's kind of become a bit of a joke to some people. Like, if you think when he took over Wolverine after X-Men Origins, that was like the lowest possible point in the Wolverine adaptations on film. And then when he took over in The Wolverine and with Logan, it's like he brought a new humanity to the character that we're all dying to see. I recently watched a movie that was a Western called Wind River. It's with...
Jeremy Renner.
See it. Jeremy Renner is in it. He
Olsen.
plays a hunter who ends up doing his way of solving a crime on a reservation. A woman's raped and she dies, and he has to work with an FBI agent to uncover what really happened. And it was this great Western, and I realized it's not really Jeremy Renner's character's story as much in it. This character doesn't really change.
It was like a detective story.
It's a detective story, and
crime?
the way he starts the movie is the way he ends it. And I don't know if I really want to see Boba Fett transition. I'd rather just see him as this badass character who just like picks up whatever this case is. If it's like chasing down someone who got away with some crime and he has to go find them, in like Clint Eastwood Unforgiven style, where he just becomes who he is meant to be,
or
this
kind of
badass killer.
A film noir thing too.
Sure.
Angle too,
Yeah.
I do like the story where it can go. So in Clone Wars, Boba Fett is raised by bounty hunters, and you have really cool characters like Bosk, who basically looks like a dinosaur and a tree trunk got combined. But like it's a lot of fun because in the video games you played it as a Bosk character, and then there's like a sniper. I forget her name, but she's awesome, sexy girl. But having like this full-on unit, I could see it being like a Suicide-esque squad kind of thing where they're all working together probably on some of the bounties, and they're probably splitting it, but they're also trying to deceive each other. And then, you know, it's like that element, which I think could be a lot of fun. The one thing that I really, really hope doesn't happen, which did happen in episode 7. What was that one called
Force
again?
Awakens.
Thank you. Which is when you were introduced to the character Kylo. The average person has only ever seen him with his helmet on. And when Kylo was first introduced, you only saw him with his helmet on. And then he took his helmet off. And everyone laughed.
I fainted.
Everyone laughed in the 2 times I watched it in cinema. Everyone laughed. And I'm scared that when you finally do reveal who this Boba Fett character could be, that as soon as you have a face that's kind of like revealed when it's the helmet that's so iconic that it lets people down.
Well, I mean, we
keep the
have
helmet
an
on.
indication though of what he probably looks like based on
he looks like
prequels.
Maybe,
Like
but also
Kiwi, yeah.
there's something kind of
Maori.
interesting if you don't show his face too. If you, if
Yeah.
it like maybe you
I wish
see
I never
him
saw
like
Adam Driver.
Like what if he took it off and you only see it from
Ever.
like behind, so you only see like he's got like brown hair. That's all you know. But like
Sure.
actually, that's a really interesting kind of like
Yeah.
if it were more in the Western vein of it, he is like a legend. He is like the like Ghost Rider who comes through a town and he leaves again. Like there's something there that you can kind of play
Sure,
with.
I like all that. I don't agree with the idea of not seeing his face. I think it's like a fundamental inherent thing that we have to connect with eyes. And like it's why I think it was such a breakthrough that Spider-Man's eyes could change. Or also Deadpool's eyes are pretty animated too. It's like otherwise you are just looking at a machine.
Unless you pair him with someone who has so much humanity to their character, and that character becomes a foil for his behavior. So we are able to identify with Boba Fett's journey.
Kevin James sidekick.
Kevin James.
Who has more humanity.
Yeah.
One more
than Paul Blart.
backstory about Boba Fett, which I think could be worth exploring, is the actual planet of Mandalore. Like, we haven't really gone to Mandalore before, and that's where Obi-Wan is really heavily involved, and it could be a really good tie-in together. I actually wouldn't mind seeing.
Well, and those
Yeah.
people are
that
fascinating
history.
too. Like they consistently are some of the best characters. And when you were touching on the idea of like his crew, like it'd be fun to see like assassins as a crew. We kind of keep thinking that we're gonna get the Dirty Dozen and the really like tough criminals and stuff, and we kind of keep not getting those.
Yeah.
2 movies now.
Yeah.
Well, let us know what you're hoping to see from this Boba Fett movie and what you liked most about Logan that you hope could translate over into this Star Wars universe now that James Mangold is doing this. But as a reminder, subscribe to New Rockstars for all of our deeper insights into Star Wars and all the stuff you love. Thanks, everybody.